Good morning and welcome to Daily Game Design. Some exciting things to share, very unexpected. I really, um, yeah, I'm kind of shocked actually. And what I don't know is, well, okay, so yesterday, and this was like kind of close to the end of the stream that I really started digging into how could the game I've been working on for quite a while, how could it be different? I'd actually be interested to know when I started the design. It was probably 3 years ago. I really have no idea. I could probably figure it out honestly, but so I've been working on this auction concept for a long time, and I'll circle back to it every now and then. So it's not constant work and just like bang bang hitting my head against the wall. So it's not quite like that, but I've made bursts of progress with it occasionally. Started pitching it a little bit. I got a lot of energy when at BGG Ricky, he's the designer of Coup and Chameleon and other games. He played it. He thought the central mechanism was actually like interesting, really engaging. He liked it a lot. He pushed me to talk to his publisher friend who was there. Who was it? Indie Board and Dice, and now somebody else too. Who is? Anyway, they bought up one of the other companies, so they have a couple. Like I don't know, they have two brands they're kind of managing. But anyway, so I sat with this guy, pitched the game, and he said, "Yeah, auction games aren't really selling that well, and this is just a super light filler game. I doubt that, even though part of their business is to sell games like Coup, it just wasn't going to happen. That's not their focus right now." But just the fact that Ricky liked it and connected me with a publisher to pitch in person for the first time, that was a big deal. And it made me think I've got something. Like there is definitely something here. I sent it over to Gamehead as my first attempt to pitch. They've got a bunch of small box games. I think All Play would be another one that I would have sent the original one to. But the theme was just too quaint. It's just it felt like that's not going to catch anybody's attention. And anyway, the game was too one note. Just a little. It's kind of like just too vanilla. That was my feeling. And so I put the game just on the back burner again. And like always had in mind to get back to it, because I think the central idea is pretty good. But it was missing something. It needed a retheme, and then it needs something else going on. So right at the end of my stream yesterday, I was talking with Francisco, and we're looking at the cards and like wondering what else could we add or what could we change. I mentioned right at the very end, I've been thinking about a map. Like, what if there's a map? The reason that's been on my mind is because I've been playing Beyond the Sun with a friend, and Beyond the Sun to me is so brilliant. I think it's just really interesting. It's clunky, it's weird, it's ugly, but this simple tension between making progress, focusing on the track to upgrade your tech tree, versus like the space combat and area control, and how those two sort of work together, it's amazing. Like it's very, very cool. But I've always, since I played the first time a couple of years ago, I always thought, wow, that's really cool just to boil everything down to a few places on a little tile of a map. And there's so much tension there, there's so much juiciness there. I think that's so cool. So yesterday, at the end of the stream, I thought, what about a map? And I kept considering, I was still kind of settling on a theme as well. And it's the part of the trick was, how do I, like, what is something that you would want to survive? Like, that's what this row of cards where you're like flipping and resolving the effects, like that's where, you know, um that's where the feeling of like I need to last through this. That's where that comes from. It's a kind of survival thing. But what do you need to survive? I didn't really have anything for water, but in space I thought, what about like if you're traveling around and you're dealing with this solar storm that shows up every now and then? And that's when things kind of fell into place, started clicking. Um, and remember, this was also partly inspired by the artwork I saw. I actually messaged that guy. I doubt I'll hear from him, but I messaged the artist Sam Dawson. I think I showed you his work yesterday. But it was the submarine that looked really cool, and that's what got me thinking about exploration, adventure, but kind of funky, fantastical. But I knew space would work, as you know. It's obviously a very popular setting, and with the solar storm, that's when things kind of like made sense. Okay, so you're traveling around, you're doing something in space, and the solar storm shows up. Everything shuts down. You need to kind of hunker down, um, shift your focus and your resources to like building up your like solar shield or something like that. If you don't, you're in trouble. You're like losing something, reputation or whatever it is, victory points. Okay, so that was cool. That tension. You're doing something until the solar storm comes. So what are you doing? Well, it made sense to me to experiment with a very simple pick up and deliver kind of thing. I'm just going to open TTS now. So, you know, I started just messing with cards. This was easy. Like this was the first. These were the first things I actually started playing with. Was retheming the winter cards to become solar storm cards. So that's where the radiation came from. So that was really easy to do. But it is where I started. It seemed like, okay, this is a pretty simple thing to just retheme really fast. I just call it the space auction game. Okay, so I started with those radiation cards. And then I moved to the auction cards. So the cards that, you know, that are up for auction. And I actually think I was just trying to wonder like where, or I was wondering where did I start? That's not at all what I meant to do. I think it's here in history. Okay, so again, version history, I think I can find some examples. I mean, you might be able to tell I basically spent most of the day on it. Okay, so I knew I needed action still. I knew I needed whatever the cubes and victory point discs things, whatever that was going to be. And I can see I hadn't really started working on this part yet. Still no. Oh, the first time introducing other items. So I had this sense that there's like a food thing, but like what thematically, what would replace food? Okay, maybe batteries and something else. So I dropped in these resource types, and that's when I started connecting more into the idea that I should be delivering stuff. So here was an early attempt at one of the cards. So I still had the fact that you are that you're bidding for actions. So I put actions up here. Remember, I brought in the map, but I hadn't really done anything with the map yet. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to add this guy. So I hadn't brought in the map yet, but I knew movement was going to matter. So I decided to throw some movement on there. And then I also realized, well, why don't I just have a few, like I should just have a few different items that players are just dropping off at different locations. Didn't really know how that was going to work yet. Also didn't understand the relationship between all these three types of things. But that was still my focus at that point, was trying to figure out these cards. So this is early on when I started experimenting, when I understood that I should actually go back to some spreadsheet design. So here's the spreadsheet. Because I learned from Sugar Shack the importance of giving something of value, a relative value. It doesn't really matter what that value is, as long as we understand what we think, what we expect the difference in value or strength is going to be between things. So I said I want the peak ability to be really important. So I gave that a value, a strength of 3. I want movement, obviously, to be important, but it's not as important as peak, because it's better to know where you're going. It's better to know what's coming. And then movement is more valuable than energy, whatever the. This is actually not energy, but it's actually the victory point discs. So movement should be more important than just earning. Not necessarily more important, but when it came to placing value on the cards, it seemed like that I wanted to communicate that movement was valuable. But okay, I don't know if the reasoning is perfect there. Okay, then I just kind of picked some arbitrary numbers for the relative strength of cards, the value of cards. And those cards also contain an item, and I also have a general sense that water is going to be less valuable than lasers, are going to be less valuable than batteries. So there was a kind of relationship there. So there is the stuff that there's energy, there are victory point tokens and actions that you're bidding for, but then on the card is also an item. So where did it go? It's here. So this is kind of the card layout I started working on, because I wanted players to be bidding on both victory points and actions, but in combination. Because pretty much in the original design, they were only really bidding on victory points. There were the weakest cards gave you a peak ability, but the whole focus in general was actually on the victory points, like this. Like if you were to ignore whatever's on the top and on the bottom, they're really it was very, very simple, very dry. They're just bidding on victory points. Well, now that I've introduced other layers to the game, like the peak action is still here, but peak is really important, and I'll show you why in a little bit. But also now there's movement. So I wanted players to be able to bid on movement as well, in addition to whatever these items were going to do. So then that's when the that's when the spreadsheet design really started helping, because I could choose, because we're just like building a bunch of cards, right? So I could choose that I'm going to say I want the strongest cards in the game to have a power of 10, a value of 10. And then I could just break up in every combination between ability, energy, movement, and the peak ability. I could just do every commutation of a permutation of um, achieving 10 energy. Energy's not right. 10 power. So in this first case, it's 4 energy, which is a value of 1, plus 2 peak abilities, which is a value of 3 each. So that totals 10, right? So then I can just go through the permutations. And then when I run out of unique permutations, then I just move on. I also wanted, and these are all the water cards. The water cards offer the peak ability, which I'm saying to the players is most valuable. It might not be, but I'm acting like it is for now. Okay, then I moved on to the laser objects, the laser item cards. And actually you can see, yeah, you can see that I started being able to lay these out. Right? This is where I was just working on these original, like what is the main thing that you're bidding on? It's that top row. Okay, so I got all of this is all top row stuff, what I was just showing in this other on the spreadsheet. This is all top row stuff. So if you're bidding on the top row, this is what you're bidding on right here. Okay. Interesting. I'm a little surprised I didn't write down what I did for the compensation. So I went through 10s and 7s of water, 10s and 7s of laser guns with the focus on movement. So there's a lot more movement on the laser guns. And because of that, there are actually a lot more possible cards. So these are peak 2 cards. Many of these are move 2 cards. Anyway, the laser gun is actually where I started. So I started with the idea of like, what's the most energy? The energy is not right. These are victory points. I started with this row being actually that these would be the strongest cards, but then I realized I'll put the peak ability in the actual strongest cards. Okay, and then the batteries. Remember that water is, in theory, least valuable. Just keep that in mind. You don't know what that means yet. And the battery is most valuable. So the water is associated with actually the strongest cards. The laser guns are the second strongest cards. And then the batteries are the weakest cards, but the battery itself is most valuable, right? So there should be some good tension there. I'll come to what that means in a second. So these are all just, you can see that these are 10s, 7s. So this is, again, just the way of adding up the value. If the focus here was on peak, the focus here is more on movement. And then here, it was just, what are the possible cards when you want to build a card with 6 power and 3 power? And there really aren't that many. So, like, what is this? This is not a thing. Wait, am I missing a card that's just 3 power? I think I might be. All right. Well, you can see the evolution here of the cards. I was finally making a lot of progress because then I also came up with a scheme for compensation. I had also just repurposed the market cards. It's just like almost like convenience stores in space. And also I came up with the items and how the items actually work. So we're just about ready for, yeah, the current version is fine. Okay, so let's look at the what I have for the map. So what's happening is it's just like an abstracted version of space here. I guess all representations of space would be very abstracted, but very simple layout with some different locations. And then these are the item cards that I showed there at the end. And what happens is these are just sitting around the edge, and they're associated with these 5 locations at the kind of edge or corner of the card. There's also like the space cops, because I thought it'd be kind of interesting if there was something moving around, just moving around, that like you could interact with, and it's an idea that's in several games. I'm thinking of Firefly for sure, but there would be kind of an NPC that affects the game. So, so this guy is connected to whatever cards get flipped up. So these are the item cards. They're going to be face down, so that's another reason the peek ability is really strong. And the way it would work, let's see. So, okay, so the first thing for setting up the Solar Storm, which hopefully you would be kind of familiar with, is draw 3 cards. This also needs to be a super simple process because they have to do it twice. And okay, so then these get shuffled, and then these get placed out. So there's the Solar Storm. The whole game is going to happen. The game is going to end after the second Solar Storm. Okay, and then I have these 21 cards. Is that? It's 20 plus 1 market. It's 20 plus a market. Okay. So what I'm thinking here, 22 would be amazing. If I can get one more card, let me go see actually if I do have room. If I totally missed, it would have been, what are these E cards? No, I got it. Wait. Oh, are these supposed to be F? I think they should be F. Wait a second. I marked the cards. I think they should be F. Yeah, because this is A, B, C, D, E. They are, yeah, they should be F. Okay, I'm going to update these. So these are the worst. These are the weakest cards, but they have the batteries on them. So that is good news. And thankfully, it looks like I'm missing a card. So where should it be, though? I think it should be right here. So this should simply say 3. And these all just have 1 compensation, so it's totally fine. Wow, can I just add 1 card? This is actually, yeah, this is actually perfect. Because I was thinking there's kind of a weird number of cards there if it's 21, but if it's 22, those get split into 2 groups of 11, and then you add the Solar Storm, so then it's 2 rounds of 12 auctions. No. 2 rounds of up to 11 auctions, but it's 12 cards in each round deck. So that sounds perfect. Great. Love that. Let me see if I can just add this card. We were supposed to be getting some insane weather, and it has rained a couple times, but nothing crazy. Nothing at all. The weekend when Dan and Deb were here, there was a lot of water coming down then. But it really hasn't been not what they said in the forecast. Definitely not. Okay, so I think so that's 18. Oh wait. I need to make it like 35 or something. I'm gonna make it 18.1. Then I can add it there. Okay, well, all I'm doing is actually shoot, I should probably just update it. Okay, so it would effectively these cards would move. Oh wait, let me just move this guy then. I don't know if I can move them. Like I tried to copy paste just now and that didn't work. Oh, wait. No, I need to update a bunch of cards, actually. So I will download all these F cards. So yeah, I should probably rebuild. I should probably just rebuild the whole the whole smuggler deck. That's what I'll call it, the smuggler deck. Starting with these F cards. So 21 turns out to be perfect because then with the market, it's 22. And then that gets split into 11 and then add the solar storm card, that's 12. I just love that. Like what's the word I'm trying to think of? It's like serendipity, but it's not that word. I don't know, I can't think of it. It's almost like the concept of feng shui. Yeah, let me actually, you know what? I also wanted to design one more card, so I'm going to do that first. And then I'll just update everything. Okay, so what I realized is I need a kind of debt card. I'll just grab these. Because now with a longer game, there's a higher chance that a person there's a higher chance that a person will like just kind of be out of the game. Like, what if they have no money, right? What if, at some point they just completely run out of resources? What do they do, right? So let's say they spend all of their, actually, how can I do this? What does this be? 135? No. I don't know what shape this would be. You know what? Let me just build a square. Oh, the square was there. Okay, I'll just put this on a. Oops. Whoa. So I'm building a debt card, and that is so a player, like when they pretty much they waste all their resources, there's this kind of less than optimal way to get back into the game. And I'm gonna make it red because these will be end game points here. And let's just say minus. Are these groups? No, they're not grouped. They're just. So I'm gonna say -3. -3 points per debt. So the idea here is that if at the start of an auction a player has no green cubes, then they gain 3 cubes. Expand this a little more. So they'll gain 3 cubes and maybe like a free movement. And then at the end of the game, they just they'll lose 3 victory points. So they gain 5 cubes. I think 5 is reasonable. And a movement. I think I'm going to give them a movement. Although this might just throw everything off. Right? I think I'll give them a movement for any time. So the debt will feel bad, but like you might take a debt just to make something happen, you know? That could be cool. Maybe also bad. Maybe very bad because then people just want to start anytime. Because then maybe they just want to start taking these. Yikes! Wow, what's going on here? Like, just take a debt because losing 3 victory points isn't that bad. So this is risky doing this. Whoa. Yeah, I don't know if I want to. I think instead of movement, I'll give them a peak. Movement is troublesome because if they move onto a space, then um, then they might have the ability to like turn in a card to like drop off an item, and I don't want to have to go through the process because this is like just before the bid, right? Um, and so that's not cool. Okay, now this is debt. What is going on here? It's so odd when these fonts, like I don't really know how to handle when they kind of hang over things and like kind of mess with the shape of things. Like the way that 5 is way wider than the cube, and then it throws off whatever centering does. So I don't love that. I also want to get used to remembering. I wonder if this eyeball is like really weird looking for people. This doesn't need to be so big. Why does it just covers up exactly what I want to look at? How do I keep that from happening? Okay. Yeah, looks pretty good. A loan. Let's call it a loan. And I think it's just end of game, right? Just leave it at that, because you could add like it's 3 if it's during the game, it's 7 if it's at the end of the game or something like that. But I think just hitting him with a with 3 as a cost is okay. It might not be awesome that, you know what, I'm gonna add a banner. I'm gonna add a banner. This could just be one of these. could make it the same red. Makes sense to me. And then we'll send this to the back. And then I think I'm going to add a banner up here behind radiation and maybe make it yellow. Why not? I guess it's not great because it's one of these colors. So maybe purple. I'll make this white. Okay, I just came down one step. That doesn't matter a lot, but I did it. I don't know. Okay, so radiation. I think that's fine. Those are fine. Okay, so now we have a loan. We have items. We have tweaked radiation cards. I think this is everything. No player aid yet, though, I guess. So this is kind of just maybe some rules. So quick rules. Sure. You know what I haven't really thought about in a while is how is whether or not you can recall your bid. I think I will have talked about this in my notes. This project is no longer on ice, first of all. Okay, let me go back and see. Oh no. Wow. Where did I put those notes? Let me see. Maybe it's in Keep. Also, why? Yeah, it was weird. I don't know why I let stuff like that go on for a long time. Whenever I started typing Keep, it would take me to a specific note. And I just realized I could actually make that stop happening. Okay, so I wonder if it would be under Ricky. Wait. Ricky. Bid. Look for bid. Okay, try bidding one at a time. What else? Let's wait. Bump up the second and third place a bit. See, this was before. I mean, I knew that something was missing. What else that isn't just numbers could you bid on? Now you can bid on movement, so that's exciting. Now the solar storm could have more effects. Oh, wow. You know what I can add to the solar storm is the fact that we have a character in the form of the cops. So I can add, let's say on the lowest, I can add some cop movement. Ouch. Oh, I like it. Wait, these are supposed to go to the edge. The rest of them do. Yeah. What else can happen to players during the storm? Hmm. They could choose to move, but then I don't want that to turn into like turning um like with items and stuff. I don't want them to be able to I don't want them to take time um to like drop off items. So I think the cop is good enough. Hmm. Um, yeah. Um, because what else is there? Probably. What I don't have yet is an explanation of what happens when the cop. If you won any bid other than the top bid, you may take one move action instead of taking any other compensation. I like that little rule. Space cop. Pay 3 energy, and I think energy. I'll call the green cubes energy, or lose an item, or discard an item. Uh and move 1 or discard an item. So that means you're like running from the cops. Space cop. Pay 3 energy and move 1 or discard an item. So what that would look like is pretty much, so let's say this guy runs around here, you run into him, you pay 3, let's say you're here, right? So he steps in here, you pay 3 and move to there, or you lose an item. The other thing would be, oh, wait. What about like fast travel? I don't know if I really want to add that, but wait, let me look at this again. So he's here, red's there, black moves in here. So red pays 3 and moves, or loses an item. Okay. Or should it be red pays and moves back here? Which is pretty much like the smuggler's den. Because what would be odd is if, let's say, the cop is here and you're here, you move and then um, you know what actually could be kind of cool. What if I had a peak here as well? Yeah, I'm pretty sure the players. Where did I put this? Pay 3 and move to Myrtle Mart. Or should I call it like Smuggler's Den? Probably Smuggler's Den, yeah. Or yeah, let's call it, let's yeah. Where did I think it's here. Smuggler's Den. So I'm gonna add I'm gonna add a peak. So like if you get kicked off of your spot and you lose a thing, at least you get a little something, right? Put like a little box around that. And let's make you gray. Okay, so they have the option of. Okay, so whenever they move here, they can. Maybe I'll put the peak first, just to. No. So they can do this stuff in any order. This is a bad deal, but if they need it, they can come here and make it happen. So, yeah, I like this a lot. So if they run into the cop is just cruising around out here on the outside of the system, like on the edge. So what happens is they run, they a cop shows up, and then either they pay 3 cubes and move to the smuggler's den, and then they get to do that stuff, or they just lose an item. If they don't lose an item, then what? Should they, if they don't have an item to lose, then what? Lose three discs, maybe 3 VP. I know that sounds kind of sad. Or lose 3 VP. No, let's say 5. It's gonna hurt. The cop, though, is gonna be running into people a lot, I think. Oh no. Suddenly there's a new ability. I don't think I want to change a lot of stuff right now, though. Suddenly there's the hide ability. Huh. Oh, you know what I should do? I'm gonna give the cop his own. I'm gonna give the cop his own spot. Oh, and I can add numbers too while I'm here. Like, why is this taking up so much space? So I'm going to make this. Where's the symbol here? So he starts. Let's start him right here. And I'll just drop this. Okay, so this is like his starting location. There's no need for a number there. So he starts there, and then wait. He starts here, and he also resets to here. And then we add another little circle. Something like this. And just make it black. I'll make this white. Nice, okay. So now I'm going to drop one of these. What? Okay. On each of the circles here. What I'm thinking is to do something like what I just realized is the cop can actually move kind of differently depending on the card that shows up. So wait a second. Okay, so those are the cop locations. The cop resets whenever he interacts with people, with a player. That seems good. Why? Okay, cool. So this cop is just moving around, and he moves whenever well, I'm gonna make this like +1. And then I can make this -1. So he actually can move different directions. And he's going to go backwards less often than he's going to go forward because there are more laser guns. And I'll also I'll add 2 here as well. So he can actually go around the circle in different ways. So peeking is super important because not only does it tell you what item, so check this out. So whenever you gain a peek ability, you can look at any face down card in the solar storm row, or one of the item cards around the map. So you could look at this and you would find out that it's a laser gun, and you would find out that the cop is going to move 1 whenever somebody claims that card. So so now this is moves 1 forward. So like if he's on 1, he's going to move to 2. If it was one of the water bottles, one of the cards for the water jugs, then he would move backwards 1. If it's one of the batteries, he's going to move forward 2. And I think it should be wherever he ends his movement. I think that's probably better. Okay, the other thing I can do too is remember in the solar storm, he's moving now. So he can move 1 backward here. Just as an example. I guess it doesn't matter. He doesn't have to, but so he can move backward here. And he can move forward here. Nice. Then he's not moving during those other things. So in other words, it's like he's not active when radiation is at its worst. Okay, Space Cop. Or discard an item, or lose 5 VP. Discard an item. This is looking like it needs its own little table, honestly. Space Cop. Interact where he ends his move, where it ends its movement. Interact where it ends its movement. So, in other words, if he moves through you, you're fine. And then pay 3 energy and move to Smugglers Den, or discard an item, or / lose 5 VP. Yeah. I'll call this movement compensation. See, this is fun, just like like just riffing right now, right? Like that's the thing. Like after the burst of energy yesterday, I'm kind of free to continue exploring this design space. Like I haven't really made any commitments, but just exploring. Like this whole space cop thing is becoming more fleshed out just by kind of looking at the map. What can we do? You know, if there was like what controls the space cop? What are the effects of having a space cop? And it's so like it's super fun just to like imagine what could make this experience more surprising, more engaging, where you care about the cards people are flipping, the cards people are peeking at. You know, what cards are they prioritizing? Do they want to move? Do they want to peek? Do they want to get a bunch of victory points? I think there is something really delicious going on now. And it's just super fun that it was sparked by artwork, you know? Like this breakthrough. It feels like a breakthrough, and you know, it continues to billow and sort of grow, and just very exciting to see what's possible here. So the space cop is feeling more, you know, more thoroughly imagined. Love that. What other quick rules would be important? Oh, taking a loan. Taking a loan. If at the start of an auction you have no energy, take a loan. Gain 5 energy and peak at 1 card. Oh, wait, I see something happening here. You should not be behaving like this. And peek at 1 card. And should I find a way? Because this says no, it doesn't say it anymore. And take 1 move action. This should say take 1 and take 1 peek action. If at the start of an auction you have no energy, take a loan. Lose 3 at the end of the game. Okay. Space Cop. Interact where it ends its movement. Pay 3 energy and move to Smugglers' Den, or discard an item / lose 5 VP. Movement compensation. If you won any bid other than the top bid, you may take 1 move action instead of taking any other compensation. Taking a loan. If at the start of an auction you have no energy, doesn't need a comma. Take a loan. Take a loan card. Take a loan card. Gain 5 energy cubes. And take 1 peek action. Lose 3 VP at the end of the game. Ooh, with the rain, there's the first dip in my connection. This is so crazy. like for months and months, I've struggled with my internet connection, and it turns out I just tried to tether with the wrong thing. Like I just needed to try to tether with the right type of cable, and now my internet is much more stable. That's so cool. Okay, any other quick rules? Quick rules. So that covers the loan. Wait, why do I have two tens? Oh, oops. Oh, you know what? I think we should. I'm gonna switch this around. I'm going to move. I'm gonna move the cop down so that he happens second. Because I think you should be able to. Obviously, you should be able to turn in your item before the cop shows up, right? That would hurt. So I'm going to visually represent that like this. I'm going to move this guy up, this guy down. Oh, wait. I'm going to copy this actually. Now the rain is coming. The rain has arrived. I'm going to make this. I'm going to make this yellow. Okay, now what's going to happen is actually, I don't love what's going on here. I think I'm just going to move this to the back. I'm just going to put the cop down here and just sort of let it sit, and we'll resolve it. But this is just to show that like spatially I'm trying to represent that the cop is going to go second, so I can just move this stuff up, and then he just resolves at the end. Yeah, that's much more friendly. Yeah, like that would be so sad if you had to resolve the cop first and he jumped on you, you lost your item. So I want you to care about the cop, but I don't want it to feel terrible to get hit by the cop, right? Okay, so here are some quick rules. Delivering an item. An item, cool. Put the item card in your location. Discard a matching item for full compensation. No, for full payment. Discard a matching item for full payment. Discard any other item for partial payments in the green triangle. Okay, you must Okay, there's a lot of rules here. Unfortunately, you must move into a location on that turn to deliver an item. Flip the item card in your location. You must wait. If you moved that turn, you may deliver an item. If you moved into a location with an item that turn, this turn, you may deliver an item. Flip the item card in your location. You must discard an item if you have one. Then disc. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. If you don't have an item, you can't have an item. You may not interact with the item card. Right? Yeah. Flip the item card in your location, then discard. Oh. Should start like this. To deliver an item, flip the item card in your location. Discard an item. Wait, no. Flip. What is this? Flip the. What are these cards? What are these cards? Contract. Yeah, if you move into with a contract, this turn you may deliver an item. If you do not have an item, you may not interact with the contract. With the contract card. To deliver an item, flip the contract card. And discard an item card. Wow, this is a lot. Like, this is not fun. Wow, this is so many little rules. If you moved into a location with the contract this turn. What's up, Francisco? Welcome. If you moved into a location with a contract card this turn, you may deliver an item. If you do not have an item, you may not interact with the contract card. To deliver an item, flip the contract card in your location and discard an item card from your possession. You must discard an item if you have one. It is. Things have changed, Francisco. Things have changed. I spent like most of the day yesterday working on this, and I'm actually pretty excited about it. No, this is it. Wow, there are a lot of rules here. I'm stoked. I'm actually, if you have a few minutes, I can talk you through the changes because I'm very excited about these changes. Okay, delivering an item. Go for it. I'm finishing this card really quick. I'm just thinking through a little delivering process. Can you hear the rain? It's coming now. Okay, to deliver an item, flip the contract card in your location and discard an item card from your possession. If you must discard an item if you have one. Discard a matching item for full payment. Discard any other item for partial payment in the green triangle, shown in the green triangle. Draw another item and place it face down in that look. Draw another contract. That's raining there. And place it face down in that location. Ooh. Pay 6 energy to ignore we're starting to get some stress on the stream. Hey, it really is a weather thing, I'm pretty sure. Pay 6 energy to ignore, or pay 3. The Space Cop interacts with every player where it ends its movement. Player response. Pay 6 energy to ignore. Pay 3 energy and move to Smuggler's Den, or discard an item / lose 5 VP. Ouch. I feel like 6 is maybe a little steep. I'm going to go 5. All right. Almost time for the big reveal. Actually, I need to update the cards. Once I get all these cards exported, then I think we're good to go. We just call these contracts. I don't have the bidding rules. Nice. If you move into a location with a contract this turn, you may deliver an item. If you do not have an item, you may not interact with the contract card. If you started your turn in this location, or you do not have an item card, you may not interact with the contract card. Okay. To deliver an item, flip the contract card in your location and discard an item card from your possession. You must discard an item if you have one. Discard a matching item for full payment. Discard any other item for partial payment shown in the green triangle. Okay. Draw another contract card and place it face down in this location. Yeah, cool. that contract card. Actually, you know what? No, let's keep them. Let's do a little. Let's do a little set collection. Why not sprinkle a little set collection in here? Um, uh, because what I think we could do very easily is, one set of three is worth 5 points. Three sets of one set of three different is worth 5. One set of three of the same, then we can just, change what that's worth based on rarity, I think. Maybe keep the contract card. Game scoring. So much text on this little card. This is delivering an item was more complicated than I was hoping. Hmm. I think I'm close. I think I'm close. You know what? These auction cards, there's actually a lot more that could be on these cards, I think, but I'm gonna leave them. I mean, maybe not a lot more, but there could be like cop movement on those cards. Okay, C's, the D's, the E's. Are there 4 F cards? Wait. Something's going on here. This is not a thing. How many of these are there? There should just be 2. What's happening? Oh yeah, this is definitely not a thing. Because that would be a 4. There is a 4 somewhere though. Wait, is there not? Okay, so this is a 6. Also a 6. Also a 6. This is a 3, 3, and 3. So this does not exist. This should not be here. Now, does that leave me with 20 cards, 21 cards? Hmm. I think I wanted 20. Okay, so this is actually good. So this is fine, right? Because that's 20 cards plus the market, the Founders Bank is 21, plus the solar storm card is 22. Yeah, so oh, perfect. So 10 cards for the first half and second half, and then adding Oh the Rain. This is awesome. It's kind of intense out there now. Oh, you know what I didn't do? You know what I didn't do is add here, move the space cop. The thing is, if they don't move the space cop first, I have a feeling. Hmm, if they don't move the space cop first, I have a feeling they're going to forget. But the space cop, I don't know if he's worth it. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I still like the idea of the space cop, but right now it feels like it might create too many like cascading effects to be cool. I think I might need another rules card here. So bidding. Um, oh, I see. No pressure, Francisco. I mean, once I update this, I'll just talk through all the changes anyway. And if you're curious and you have some time, then cool. If not, I'm sure we'll catch up at some point. Um, Thanks for stopping by, as always. Appreciate you. Who's the first bidder? First bid. First auction of the game. The first bidder is the first bidder is the to look, I don't care, through a telescope or a random player. Okay. The first bidder every subsequent auction how did I do this before? That player takes the start first bid token. Okay. Every subsequent auction, the first bidder is the first bidder is oh, you know what I can do is I can just the first bidder must bid. Sure. That's almost like the what small blind, big blind in poker. The first bidder must bid some number of energy cubes. Every other after the first bid, a player may bid, meaning oh, these are all open auctions, by the way. Bid some number of cubes by moving making those cubes visible. This is a really awkward to all other players. I haven't figured out if there's a screen or whatever. After the first bid, a player may bid show more cubes than the most recent bid. Pass. Stop bidding and leave your after the first bid you may. Let's go back to you. Why not? You may bid. Show more cubes than the most recent bid. Including adding cubes to your previous bid. Some bid total. Stop bidding and leave your cubes. Of the auction, or recall your bid. Recover all but one cube if any. Recall your bid. Recover all but one cube. Energy cube. Okay, show more energy cubes. Okay, first auction of the game. The first bidder is the last person to look through a telescope. Cool. The first bidder must bid some number of energy cubes to make by making those cubes visible to all players. I'll just say showing. We're going to showing those cubes to all players. That's awkward, but that's okay. After the first bid, you may bid, show more energy cubes than the most recent bid total. Total bid. Oh, wait. This should move down. If at any time during an auction you have no energy, take a loan card. If at any time during an auction on your turn, if at any time during an auction on your turn, if this is weird. If at any time during an auction, if on any turn, if on your turn during an auction you have no energy, take a loan card, gain 5 energy cubes, and take 1 peak action. Okay, I think that works. If on your turn during an auction you have no energy, take a loan card. Good, okay. After the first bid, you may Um, hmm. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, first auction of the game. The first bidder is where am I? The first bidder must bid some number of energy cubes by showing those cubes to all other players. After the first bid, you may bid show more energy cubes than the most recent total bid, including adding energy cubes to your previous bid. Pass, stop bidding and leave your cubes, if any. These will be lost at the end of the auction. Recall your bid. Recover all but one energy cube. Will be returned to the supply at the end of the auction. Return that cube, energy cube, to the supply. Stop bidding and recall your recover. Stop bidding and recover all but one energy cube. Return that energy cube to the supply. After the first bid, you may bid show more energy cubes than the most recent total bid, including adding energy cubes to your previous bid. Pass, stop bidding and leave your cubes, if any. These will be returned to the supply at the end of the auction. Recover, stop bidding and recover all but one energy cube. Okay, so that was after the first bid you may. Ending the auction. Okay. Once all players but the highest bidder have passed or recovered, the auction is over. The auction's over. award the oh. Oops. These actually move up again. Okay, so bidding, ending the auction. Starting an auction. Reveal the top smuggler card. And begin an auction. For energy cubes. Okay, if there's an item card, begin an auction. An item card, begin an auction. If it is the Founders Mall, the Founders Bank. All players may simultaneously trade VP for cubes. At the rate of 1-1. If it is a solar, if it is the solar storm, proceed. Oh man, I'm still going on rules. I did not expect to be stuck here, but welcome back, Francisco. So the solar storm, proceed to the solar storm phase. Okay, all right. So begin an auction. Oh, smuggler phase. This is a smuggler phase. Reveal the top smuggler card and begin. And wow, this is. I was missing a whole bunch. Reveal the top smuggler card. If it is an item, begin an auction. Yeah, I think this is right. I shouldn't be trying to squeeze the whole rulebook onto these cards, but it seems to be happening. Okay, smuggler phase. Reveal the top smuggler card. If it is an item card, begin an auction. The Founder's Bank. All players may simultaneously trade VP for energy cubes at the rate of 1 to 1. The Solar Storm. Proceed to the Solar Storm phase. Beginning an auction. First auction of the game. The first bidder is the last person to look through a telescope. Cool. The first bidder must bid some number of energy cubes by showing those cubes to all other players. After the first bid, you may bid, show more energy cubes than the last pass, stop bidding and leave your cubes, if any. These will be returned to the supply at the end of the auction. Okay, recover. Okay, once all players but the highest bidder have passed or recovered, the auction is over. Award. Wow. Did you hear the Kickstarter is going to be doing Micro May, where you can apply to be considered as a micro board game and maybe get extra promotion? Interesting. I've heard of Micro May before. I just think after the Pathfinder Club game, I'm sort of scared off of self-publishing. You know? Maybe I shouldn't be, but are you now? I forget what kind of games are welcome. They are small games, right? Or is it more of the concept of like indie publisher stuff, like small time publishers? I don't remember. Yeah, okay, form factor. Right. Yeah, this is all very inappropriate on the card. This is more of actual rulebook stuff. The smuggler card. These are item cards. They're not smuggler cards. Just remember that. I don't know if Dobin's Dungeon would be in a place for it, but thinking about it, yeah. I mean, that was the idea of like the VHS thing, right? Why not? But are you trying to go into business though? As a publisher? Not just game crafter stuff? Yeah, I'm basically asking that. Are you trying to you're trying to run a you want to run a publishing business. That's your plan here. Yeah, but I mean more than game crafter, right? So you are coordinating. Okay, cool. Got it. I don't mind. I did not mind the logistics and like working with the manufacturer. That wasn't too bad. Although we missed a pretty major mistake in how scoring works in the game sheets. Um, the obvious issue for me is marketing and sales. Now I have a better idea of like, well, that game in general, in particular, I should say, that game in particular is a big challenge because I can't market it like every other game. I can only use church channels because of the Pathfinder name. And also, I didn't wait for that game to be verified by the audience, so it really is not a good fit for the audience. So, or at least not yet. Like they're just not ready for, modern roll and write, more complex roll and write stuff. They're not ready for that. So anyway, so that's kind of sad. But other than, yeah, I think if you're thinking of Kickstarter as like pre-orders and you just fulfill and you deal with the headache of like, okay, a couple missing games or damaged boxes and whatever, uh I think actually that's more digestible for me. um Dang it, I don't want to talk myself into into trying to publish again. What are you doing to me, Francisco? What are you doing to me? I just started writing out rules, and I really don't need to be. I don't need to be doing this. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna export. Wait, where's the other card back? It's this one. Okay, I'm gonna rebuild. Um. Ooh, you know what I should do? I'm gonna make the solar storm part of. I'm gonna make the solar storm part of the cards here. What else is gonna have the smuggler card back? I guess these will. As well as the loan. Yeah. Well, that's cool. Like, yeah, if you're really up for the process, I think it'd be great. I mean, especially with your current, I don't know if anything's changed as far as your work situation and like your time frame, but I know you're like angling toward really building a business that is self-sustaining. So, yeah, I can imagine Doburn's dungeon being like a step in that direction. Okay. All right. I'm going to export all these cards and then update everything, and then I'll be ready to kind of talk through the changes. Yeah, yeah. So many people figure this out while they're working on other things, so I feel like it's very doable. I mean, I know you've got other things too, other priorities. So maybe that is going to be more of the challenge than anything else. It's just yeah, understanding that you have more responsibilities, familial and otherwise, than I do. Okay, hopefully this is all the cards. So I'm just gonna drop them in this other folder. Oh wait. Yeah, replace. It's good. And then this can go away now. Great. Okay. Now I'm gonna come in here and update these cards. I don't know why it does this sometimes. Like it just has a giant card sitting there. Yeah, like what's going on here? What is this card? I don't even know. It's a D. I think I can still export, and I don't think it does anything strange. Okay, and then open up card backs. Yeah, this is the deck construction or deck creator thing. Oh, it's called TTS Deck Creator. Like I really don't know why it does this weird stuff. Okay, then I need to just grab the card backs. Like, why do you do that? I don't get it. And I think it's just these three. How does how does Tabletopia work? Like how do you add like decks of cards? This is really very weird. I don't get this. Um okay, so there it's fixed. And then I'll open okay, so all the cards until 36. They're all these solar smugglers cards. Okay, and then from I think it's Solar Storm was next. So then 5 Solar Storm cards. So what I'm doing is just building the fronts and the backs of I actually don't need these of all the cards. Like, what are you doing like this? Yeah, it looks like I'm building the whole prototype again. That's okay. Okay, so now we save that. Wait, what? Oh, it's 26. Okay. I think that's ready now. So save that. We'll also export. We'll save this and export. All cards. So Dextrous actually does this automatically. I just haven't really gotten used to I just haven't built the cards, like assembled the cards in Dextrous when they're kind of like this, when they are more just, there aren't that many cards and I just build them myself. Okay, I think now we're ready for TTS. So what I can do is just drop in the deck. Sometimes I do deck by deck, but in this case, because there really aren't that many cards, I'm just dropping in all of them and then sorting them separately and creating actually, how many cards are there? There are 34 cards. See, that's not many cards at all. And then I just make multiple copies of some of them. Okay, so first thing to do is get the sizing right for the contracts. One smaller, okay. And then I'll pull the contracts out. And then we'll get the size of these cards. That's about right. And then we'll set these aside next. I'll have these loan cards, these rules cards. This can go away. All these can go away. Oh, I also need to export the new map. These are the new solar storms. Let me just make sure that I have the right distribution, or the distribution I had before. These are the new ones, right? Yeah. So I have twos and threes, threes and twos and fours. I have two of those, and then threes, 3 and 4. I had 3, and then 1, 3, and 6. So that's the deck. So it's 8 cards in the deck, and I wonder if Fly On. I think Fly On should really look different, but I'm going to leave it as it is for now. Okay, now I can get rid of these. set these over here. Okay, so for water, I believe there are 4 of them. And then lasers, I think there were 10. Okay, and then there are 6 of these, I'm pretty sure. So there should be 20 total. We can just group these and shuffle them. Shuffle these 2. Okay, now what's left? So we have more rules. A lot of rules, unfortunately. I just love seeing this number 22. That feels really good. I think this is gone. Okay, we can actually make the loan cards small as well. Just the size of those contracts. Is that about right? Okay. I'll set these over here. And I'll just make, I don't know, 12 of them. Okay, I need to export this. Maybe I should have marked Smugglers Den as the starting point. It's not a huge deal. Wow. Lots of low ink stuff. Okay, that's ready. So I'll come in here, update this guy. Perfect. Now I can erase the numbers. That's still locked. Perfect. Maybe it's not. It is. What's going on here? Oh, just delete. Nice, nice. Okay. Oh, look at that. Just for the cop. Maybe the cop should be not exactly black. Oh, that's these are sitting here. Okay. Okay, so this is basically like pre. Okay, I'm going to overwrite everything. Okay. So here's the overview. Players are represented. They're basically like space truckers, kind of like galaxy trucker people. And anyway, what they're doing is they're smugglers. So they're smuggling items around space, this map. The goal of the game is to be the player who gains the most victory points / infamy, reputation, whatever. And the way they do that is by it's not necessarily by delivering items, but it is by participating in these auctions. So this is an auction game with pick up and deliver, with a pretty strong pick up and deliver mechanic now, or element, and but it's primarily an auction game, and the way that shows up. Actually, maybe I should also just keep this one out. Yeah, I think this always needs to sit out. For setup purposes. Okay, so wait 1 second. Okay. So setup should be fairly simple. The way it works is that we'll. Oh, so anyway, so the players are out in space, like delivering stuff, like bidding on items that they can deliver around the map, but they're like every now and then a solar storm will kick up, and they're not super predictable, but in general they kind of are. And so you all have to deal with the solar storm, and then you'll go back to delivering, like bidding on items and delivering stuff around the system. And then after the second solar storm, that's when the game will end. And the player with the most victory points is the winner. So here's what's involved in setup. So the first thing is we'll set up the solar storm row, and what that is 5 5 cards that show some amount of radiation, and then 1 card that's basically showing that the solar storm is over. And then those will get placed randomly on the second half of the solar storm row. So in other words, all players know that they're going to have to deal with the solar storm for 3 cards at least, but maybe 5 cards. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing is we'll take 10 of these cards. We'll shuffle in this market card. Okay, we'll shuffle that in. Then we'll take 2 cards from the top of that, shuffle the solar storm card into the bottom of the deck, just like that. Oh, wait a minute. What's going on here? I don't know how I counted wrong there, but there will be 12 cards in this smuggler deck. And the last part of setup will be to place these cards around the map. Okay. And now we're ready to go. All the players have some number of cubes. That's not what I meant to do. Actually, I think I'll save a version of this right here. This setup. Okay. So these pawns represent the smugglers' spaceships, and their goal will be to start moving around the map, delivering items wherever these contract cards are. So let's say we start an auction. Now here is what the players are going to be bidding on. On the left side, you see victory points. So the highest bidder would earn 4 victory points, second highest 7, and then 4 again. But the winner also gets to take whatever actions are shown on the right. So the top row is what the winning bid earns. Every row under that is compensation for the other players. And then the player that wins also gains this card and gains the item shown on that card. So they have the water jug. Okay. And then what are the actions? So the actions are peaking. So there are 2 peaking actions on this card. And so you can spend those peak actions either on the solar storm row, or on the contract, on any contract shown around the map. As for the other players, they'll either gain compensation shown on the card, or they can forego that compensation and instead move 1. So in this case, the player who bid second highest would earn 7 victory points, and the third highest bidder would earn 4. But let's say they're not super interested in victory points at this point, so they'll take like 1 movement, or whoever was the lowest bidder. Okay, so that would be 1 auction, so that would be done, and then the next card would come out. Okay, all players. This is a kind of weird time for this to happen, but all players can trade 1 disc, 1 victory point, for 1 cube. So if they've been spending a bunch of cubes and they want to get some cubes back, they can trade the discs that they earned. Like, so for instance, maybe this guy, the guy that just earned 7 discs, they might want to trade a few back for green cubes, depending on how many they just bid, right? If they bid most of their cubes and then they're not going to have any cubes left for these subsequent bids, they might give up some of their victory points to get some cubes back. So that's what Founders Bank does. Okay, and then the next auction. All right, in this case, the players are bidding on victory points, but also movement and peaking. So the winner would get 2 movement, and they could spend that however they want. So for example, 1, 2, right? And then they could choose to flip this over. They would need to have they would need to have an item in order to do that. So it looks like, at least early on in the game, maybe everybody should start with 1 item or something like that. Yeah, I think what I could do is give players a starting item, and then I wonder if everybody should have a water jug or something like that. Huh, okay. Well, let's say all players started with a water jug. Then what they'll do is they could choose to try to fulfill this contract. I don't know what it is. They could have used the peak action to check, right? It would be nice to have a peak before they committed. And the reason for that is, let's flip it. So this person really wanted a battery, but they're willing to take anything. And it turns out that they'll accept a water bottle for 4, but it's just in the future there are going to be fewer battery cards available to go for. But anyway, so this player would turn in their item, earn four cubes. This is energy. They would earn 4 cubes back. So what's kind of neat, I think, is that the items that players are using to fulfill contracts give them energy. Energy is the stuff that lets them keep bidding on cards and on items, and those items also give them victory points. So it's just that they need to um, they care about the actions they get and the victory points they earn, but also the items, if they deliver them appropriately, they also get enough energy to keep bidding on cards. That's the idea. Yeah, space bucks. And then these discs are just victory points right here. So the players, when they bid on this card, the winner earns 7 victory points. The second place bidder earns 4 victory points, and the third. Yeah, so these contracts are hidden. They're smuggling, like these people are smuggling, so everything's on the super down low, I guess. I don't know. There's not really a great thematic justification for it. But here, in this case, players. So here's the problem for the players. They're going to be moving around the map, dropping off items. No matter where they go, they are able. They can drop off the item no matter what is on the other side of this card. However, if they drop off an item that matches this card, the payout is much better. So in this case, if they had a battery, like here, this card has the laser gun, right? And so if the winning the player with the highest bid, they're going to earn this card, right? And now what they're doing is they're hoping to find a customer that wants a contract that wants that gun, that laser gun. But the problem is they don't know where they are. So that's why, like in this case, a player might actually want to lose the bid and be like second or third place so that they can take a peek action. The peek action just lets them look at one of those contract cards. So like in this case, like maybe I would check how do you peek? I forget how you peek. Oh, Shift Alt. So they peeked at this one and they discovered that there's a laser gun there. Right? So now next time a laser gun comes up, they might be more motivated to bid on it because they know where to go so that it's most valuable. Or they could just risk it and head over there and try to drop off an item. If it doesn't match, like over here, like let's say the player had this laser gun and they headed over here and they're thinking, okay, I need some cubes, I need some energy cubes, so I'm just gonna flip this and hope for the best, right? So they flip it, they turn in this card. Instead of getting 10 energy cubes, they only get 4 because it doesn't match, right? This is a laser gun and this is a battery. So they still get something, but they just don't get like the full value. Whereas if they had gone down here and turned it in, then they would get 6 rather than 4. Yeah. So they can spend peak actions on these cards to have some certainty about where they should go to deliver things, or they can spend their peaks on the solar storm, which is just what it was like for the winter themed game. Okay, but when they when they fulfill a contract, the other thing that happens is that the cop is going to start moving around the map. So they get paid out. Is there a fuel element? Oh, they're bidding on movement. So there's no fuel. They're bidding on movement though. Like this gives you 2 movement. Up to 2 movement. And a lot of these cards have movement, but not all of them. So like this one is primarily about movement. Also, if you, let's say you don't want to peak or you feel like you're in a rush, instead of taking compensation, you can move. Yeah, yeah. No, they're little spaceships, Francisco. Look, they're little spaceships. Yeah, so you get your movement. There's no combat here. Smugglers don't want to draw attention. They don't want to draw attention to themselves. So you're bidding on movement. Okay, so let's say this flips up and this player gets their 6 cubes, discards this guy, and then gains this card. The last thing that happens is that the cop comes out and starts moving around because of this +1 right here, right? So as the players are out and about and they're starting to like kind of figure out where they want to go for stuff, whenever a player fulfills a contract, okay, so this goes away. Let's say, I don't care who got it, but another contract comes out. So a player comes over here, delivers, right? And this one is a battery, and it gives the police +2 movement. So this guy would actually come over here and show up, and then the smuggler has a choice. Either they pay 5 cubes, 5 energy cubes, 5 green cubes, space bucks, to ignore the police and kind of dodge and hide. Or they spend 3 energy and go back to the smuggler's den where they get to do this stuff. They can trade VP for energy, or they can peak, or they discard an item. They should be using their missiles, you're right. If they don't have an item to discard, then they pay 5 victory points. So it just hurts. But anyway, so there's this guy. He's just moving around outside here. Also, I think once he interacts with people, maybe he goes back over there or something like that. Oh, you know what? This needs a number on it. I just realized this should be number 1, and then this would be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because he needs to be able to jump back this way too, to go backwards. Anyway, that's an easy fix. Actually, I will fix that right now. Okay, so he starts here. No, it's just that this, wait. Ouch. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, very fun. Another artist on Twitch. Jenny Lewis, welcome. Okay, restart, and you don't have an item or enough VP. Maybe you go back to the cop space too. So Jenny, what I do here is game design. So you're welcome to hang out and discuss or learn about or think about game design. Otherwise, anyway, that's my main focus. I'm happy to recommend you check. Actually, you know what? The last artist that came through, I said, there's actually a lot of money to be made in board game illustration. and rulebook illustration. And so I gave that artist a bunch of ideas. So I'm not a great target for partnership right now, but yeah, appreciate you. So you're welcome to start researching game design and graphic design and illustration. Otherwise, please hang out and let's talk game design. Okay, so what was I doing? I think I was gonna put a 1 here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I'll put a 1. What? Okay. Good. Okay. And then this will be 2. This is a little bit sad. 5, 6. Where are you from, Jenny? And I need another line over here. Nice. Very fun. Very fun response. Okay, so the cop can go either direction, but they'll always reset to 1. I think that also means it means 2 is always risky, right? Yeah. 2 is always most risky. Well, no, because they can go backwards. Because the cop can go backwards. But it does feel like I'm going to place a little star, actually, on the smuggler's den. Anyway, isn't it crazy? Like, I feel like the game still has that main problem with the solar whatever, the solar storm row, because that's where we started. That was like the main hook, I think, was trying to preserve cubes to deal with the winter or whatever. And now this other system of like moving around, I feel like cop moves toward whoever has most VP. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. Moves toward the one who has the most VP. I wonder if there'd be a faster way to assess. I wonder if there's something that would also be an indicator of like who's in the lead that would not require counting VP that often. But I like this idea. I like the idea of messing with the behavior of the cop. Because the thing is, just because um just because somebody, oh, if the cop heads in the direction, right, maybe the last one who won an auction, I feel like weird stuff could happen, like um well, actually no, because there's an odd number of circles, so he's always going to be closest to somebody. Wait. No, if he's here, then then he could be an even number of spaces from the highest bidder. And in that case, I don't want it to, like, I don't know. I kind of like the idea of just like he moves up and he moves down. But it doesn't mean there's no need for rubber banding, but I don't think adding complexity to the cop system is I doubt it's a good idea. I just kind of have a feeling it's not worth it. There could be other ways to rubber band, but my guess is making the cop's behavior more complicated is maybe not better. But let's see. Yeah. It's hard to say, right? Without you can never go wrong. You can never go wrong. Jenny, are you still there? I don't think so, right? I'm kind of surprised that sometimes the artists will still continue to follow at least for a little while. That's kind of interesting. Yeah. Yeah, aim here is there is more tension, but not more complexity. Well, I mean, I know sometimes to achieve tension, we have to add complexity, which is what we did. That's what, yeah, Wyoming is also brand new to me. Wyoming. Uh oh. Little instability. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Okay. Am I done here? I actually don't love the idea of the cop resetting, to be honest. I think, you know what? I think the cop is, I think it's just like a little parking ticket cop. You know what I mean? So it's more like they're just on their beat, they're just cruising around. I don't think resetting really helps. So I think they might just start on one over here because it would take the players a while to get there anyway. Um oh shoot, what if you move into a space with the cop? Can you? I think maybe not, right? Have you found Wyoming on the map yet? I haven't spent any time looking. Because I think it might be fine just to do this. Hang on. I'm going back. This is their little. This is the cops' little. The cops' planet. Flick your missiles at them. Unless you pay them off. Yeah, I guess you could. Basically, the 5 cost would really just be about ignoring the effect of the cop. So if you wanted to move in to where the cop is, then you would also pay, I guess. Right? So that makes sense to me. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Also, why are there 3 things? What is this? Okay, so the cop starts here, right, and then just cruises around the map from there. Use your little pew-pews. Dirty space cops, that's why you pack missiles. That's right. Yeah, I think I like this better than him starting him. It doesn't have to be a him, right? I like it better than the cops starting on its own space and then moving around from there. And it's just in a continuous cycle, right? Ooh, you know what's kind of cool? It's that players will be motivated to be in one of these 3 spaces during the solar storm. They don't want to get caught out here because this is where the cop is likely to move. Because when the cop would do the same thing during the solar storm, and I think you would resolve the cop first. You can see the contract out of the cop space, so there is danger element to going there. Francisco, now this is an idea. This is an idea. Hmm. Okay, so let's try it out. So he's here and he flips this over, right? So now everybody knows where a battery is. Now what if he moves here? Then he flips this, right? Actually, he probably won't move. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Okay, so he flips this card. And then so by him doing this, peak becomes slightly less valuable. That's okay. That's okay because this adds tension. It adds tension without necessarily adding a lot of complexity. That's what we're after, right? It adds tension because now you have multiple players who might be racing to this battery. That's cool. Okay, but let's say that this player fulfills this contract, right? So this goes away. He moves 2, 1, 2, and then, well, this and then this gets flipped up. I think where this is starting to falter a little bit is in now if I move in here and I have an item, I must discard that item, I think. Okay, well, let's keep going. So this goes away. All right, so he reveals this. This guy pays the 5, right? So he ignores the cop. Pays the 5 because he has a battery and he's looking forward to turning it in. Maybe. Well, I was just thinking the first planet only, like all the smugglers know what is in the evidence storage of the police station. Oh, I see what you mean. Because it's kind of harder to get there. Oh, that's interesting. So this one is always revealed. Francisco, that's an idea. I like that idea. Because it's kind of annoying to get to, right? Oh, that's cool. And it takes you a while to get out of danger as well, because you have to backtrack twice to get out of danger. Interesting. So let's say the cop is here, right? And you run down here, you get the thing, and then he jumps in and steals half of what you just got. At least you have a battery, right? At least you have a battery card. So then the next card gets revealed, right? So this sits here. You know what I just thought of too would be like, I know this is a what if we do this? Uh-oh, things are about to get crazy. Oh, this is not a shape. Wormhole. Oh, Francisco, what do you think of this? What do you think of what's happening here? Oops. Hmm. You know what? I would love for you to experiment with this whole like sales approach. This is a wormhole. Yeah. Is that fun? Is that exciting? So one space from here and they can jump anywhere. So getting there is hard and it's risky, but leaving they can go wherever they want. Is that too powerful then? Yeah. Well, actually, you must jump anywhere. You must jump somewhere, right? So you wouldn't sit on this space. Like if you use one movement here, you have to show up at some other location. But yeah, I think that's the idea. But anyway, yeah, I like it too. I also love this idea. I think that was a great contribution there, to have a face-up card right here. So what I'm gonna do actually is drop a little icon on there just as a reminder. Yeah, I think that's a very fun idea. But the thing is, it's not like the cop. It's not like the cop. Well, this would be much stronger if, or much more important if the cop resets, right? So maybe the cop needs to reset again, because this would have a much greater impact if yeah, this would have a really important impact if the cop, like interacts with somebody over here and then resets, and it happens to be that there's a person here and they catch both. That'd be epic though. I think I prefer that, actually. So even if there are a couple more cop rules, like just the idea that he always resets after he interacts with some number of players, he just resets. Yeah, I think it makes this more potent as a concept. Leaving leaving one card revealed and having the wormhole nearby. I think the cop must reset in this case, so that's pretty cool. So I think I already have some kind of confirmation that the auction itself is interesting. That's what Ricky and that's what the guys at BGG um, con confirmed for me. He's like, that's interesting. The auction is interesting, and I mean, and the auction relates to spending energy, but you still need to retain energy because the solar storm is coming, right? But now you also I mean, by the way, I have no idea if the figures here, like if the numbers of cubes and discs, if those are anywhere near accurate or balanced. No idea. I'm just kind of going on feel right now because I don't know the flow. I don't know yet how much players are going to be willing to pay for things, right? That's the big question. And what I like about this is this kind of game will be self-balancing in that players are in control of the flow of energy cubes. I expect that there are going to be more in the economy just because players are going to be going around delivering and recovering cubes, and they're going to want to save some of those though for the solar storm. But this, yeah, so and the more we look at this map, the more interesting it becomes. I mean, would it be interesting without the cop? Maybe. But I think with the cop in there and now some of these little details, I think it's already conceptually it's much, much stronger. And this is what we need practice doing, right? It's like presenting the players with problems and things to react to. So the solar storm is the same as it was when it was the winter. So when this deck of auction cards is spent, okay, so let's say the auctions continue, they keep auctioning, they keep bidding on stuff. At some point they hit the solar storm. When they hit the solar storm, that's when they start flipping these. And what this card says, you have to spend 3 energy cubes or lose 6 discs. That's actually the harshest radiation card. So the solar storm hits, and now they're all kind of like dealing with that rather than moving around. They like hunker down, and they have to deal with this solar storm. So they're like putting energy into their like solar shields or whatever. Okay, so they flip the next one. They pay this number or pay 4 discs. So they're having to save energy in order to deal with the solar storm. Okay, there's another one, and the cop moves, so the cop is still active during the storm. And then this one flips, and they get hit again. And this one, okay, so the radiation lasted through 5 cards, whereas this card could have been anywhere in the last 3. So it just turned out that it was the very last one, but it could have been the 4th card. It could have been like this, and then you would never actually see these cards. This just says fly on. So the solar storm can be like short and bad, but not terrible. Or it can be like long and tough. Right? So this drains them of energy, or it big time drains them of victory points. No, fly on is the end of the storm. So the end of the game is after 2 solar storms. So in other words, these cards would go away. We would grab grab this card. So these cards are all gone. And then the final 10 cards come out. This gets then this gets shuffled in. Then these become the bottom 3. You shuffle the solar storm into the bottom 3, and then that's the new deck for the next round. So it's 2 rounds. And so then we begin auctions again. So here's the next auction. So there are up to 10 auctions per round. It might be that that's not nearly enough movement. Well, let's see how many movement there are total, actually. Well, how can I do this? I can actually look at my spreadsheet. Okay, so total number of movement in the game. And not all of these cards are necessarily going to show up either. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15, 16, 17, 18 movement. It's 18 movement in the whole game divided by divided by 4 players. That's not enough. That's not nearly enough, right? So if each player gets like 4 movement, that's not enough at all. 4 to 5 movement is how much each player would get in theory. So if they start here, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's maybe delivering 2 or 3 items. Yeah, that's not nearly enough movement. I hate to do this, but it could be that each symbol equals 2 moves. I hate to do this. Like, that would be very confusing. This looks like it's 2 moves. But if each symbol is up to 2 movement, then you know, if this player's here and they want to head over here, it'd be 1, 2, and then they would just burn the rest of the movement. But if each symbol was 2, I feel like that would help a lot. It's just confusing the way it's shown on the cards. Just have chevrons for movement. I think I know what you mean. Each is 1. You can fit more. They won't look like missiles. Francisco. I like the missiles. No, you're right. You're right. Like a sideways. I don't want to rebuild the cards all right now, but I know what you mean. Let me. I'm gonna download this. Yeah, I'm picturing. I know what you mean. Yeah. What I'm wondering is if I need to show that many steps. Yeah, I could do that. Wow, this has been a almost 3.5 hour stream, and only one artist came by. Except you're an artist too, Francisco. So I guess 2 artists came by. What I was starting to say is, I think I would like to see you try, like, to cold call somebody on Twitch. What would you call that? It's not cold call, but cold approach. Because I feel like you could get good at it, and I just wonder what you would do. You know, like, what would be your approach if you just showed up on somebody's stream, you didn't know them, they didn't know you, and you tried to sell them. You tried to sell them your services. I would really like to see you try that. Okay, I'm going to reset the game. I'm dropping this map. Wait, what? Did I delete the wrong one? I did. What? Yeah. Let's. Oh. Wait, how do I just want to restore this one. Okay. So it's 12. Somehow I deleted the previous 12, and so this one got dropped in as 12. Well, I know, like, it's not my style either, but for some reason it's like rewarded enough that like a bunch of people are doing it. And I mean, a bunch of people are doing it, and that makes me think that it has somehow been rewarding to some number of people. Right? That's what it feels like. But I feel like you could figure it out. Okay, there's the game. I mean, I think with changes to the iconography and just understanding that movement is too scarce right now, and that each icon, as it is on the cards, would equal 2 movement. I think that's, or up to 2 movement. Excuse me, up to 2 movement. And I think replacing with chevrons would be very helpful. So thank you for that idea as well. Wait, why is this turned face down? So even without any testing, doesn't this feel like a game? I feel like it does. What? Somehow I didn't save it after I updated this. Okay, so let's drop that there. Now overwrite this boy. Okay, there is the game. Oh shoot, I already lost the context. What am I guessing? I forget. Yeah, this feels like a full game. I can't I mean, maybe I'm a little bit over enthusiastic at the moment, but figuring out the movement, and livery part, and the tension with the cop, and then always the solar storm is like hanging over their heads, and there's the tension of bidding and like what's the value, like how do we know what's important. Wait. Oh. Are you missing the missiles? Missing something which I bet you can guess. See, I'm just not as clever as you are. That's the problem I perpetually have. Um, let's see. Um, I don't think I will guess. Yeah, I feel really good. This has been an exciting couple of days. The missiles, is that the main problem? There is a little delay. I can see that the connection is destabilized a little bit. We need combat. That's in the expansion. You know what actually also was part of my thought process was Ahoy. Ahoy has such a simple combat system and a simple movement system. I love it. I think I'm very surprised I like Ahoy. Um, I'm so glad. So glad. Well, this is we're hitting the 3.5 hour mark. I do have other stuff to get to, but I really appreciate your ideas and input here. And the main thing left is to actually playtest and see how it works. But yeah, I'm very excited with how things have developed here. Very fun. It just seems like lots of cool choices, lots of little interesting pressures, um, complexity around the bidding because sometimes you might not want to win the bid or be first place. You might want to be second place, and so figuring that out and deciding when to recover your cubes versus to stay out and continue, leave them out there and just win one of the compensatory bids. So anyway, this is all very exciting, and I just love the creative process. So it's cool to maneuver that with you, Francisco, and other people who are interested in these things. So anyway, I think that's it for me. Please have a productive rest of your day, rest of your afternoon, evening, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye for now. When you find Wyoming, let me know.